Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Eat Crunchy podcast. I'm Heidi, and I'm here with Lisa and Rebecca. We have a couple of great topics today. The first one that I think we should just dive right on into is, holy cow, what do you do when you're sick? And the second topic that we would really like to dive into right after that is being an online-only member. Good, bad, the ugly with being an online-only member. So we have had in our house the plague upon us. Not just colds, but full-on flus. And it has been hard being on Weight Watchers and being sick. And I know that you guys have been sick this week too. And so I thought we'd take a minute to talk about that and say, like, what went well, what didn't go so well, and are there ways that we can, and do we care when we're sick? And are there things that we can do to prepare better, just, in case we get sick again sometime? So anybody have any thoughts that immediately come to mind?
Well, I'll go. I think that I didn't have the plague, but I had like the plague's baby sister.
Right.
Where I felt miserable. I was, me and my couch were best friends for a couple of days, and I had my first cavity fillings and root canal, which if you haven't had one, it's a lot of fun. But I had all of that within a 2-week span. And so, what I found is that, and I put something on the blog about this, but I ran out of mental energy. I didn't have the mental energy to think about what am I going to eat. The idea of tracking, there was no way I was going to track. I was dying ugly on my couch. And so I found that like some of the things that I really believe in that are helpful about Weight Watchers, I just didn't have the energy to do. And so my strategy for that time, I had a couple things. Like, one was to not beat myself up. This wasn't a forever thing. This was a right now thing. And right now I needed to take care of myself and to do the things that I could do. So I was having a hard time chewing certain things. Like, I couldn't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Pretty much the only fruit I could have was bananas because everything else was too painful for my teeth. So I had a lot of soups and breads and crackers and things like that. But I tried to choose lower sodium things. I tried to have lower fat things, things that I knew conceptually were going to be within points without going too crazy. But I felt like for myself, what I realized was I needed to be kind to myself and say, you know what, this is going to happen. And I'm going to go through a period of time where it's going to be rough. And then I'll get to the other side and I'll pick up back up again. And I did. And today, I started tracking again, and I was getting excited about exercise stuff. And, it comes rotation, and I feel like I unstuck from it. But I feel like my big lesson that I learned is do what you got to do to take care of yourself, and then don't beat yourself up.
So when I get sick, there are things that that mom used to give us when we were younger that somehow that means getting healthy, Sprite and sherbet. Those are health foods when your body is sick.
The combination of apple juice and Sprite in our household is
and the fact that you got sherbet, it was such a treat. And even when I stub my toe, I go get sherbet. It's just so healthy.
It's healing.
It's a health food.
Is it not?
But I found there are things that I don't know. I know logically that sherbet is not healing, but it sure feels that way. And there are things that your body will tolerate and things that your body will crave. Like, my body was craving when I was, barely able to move. It said to me, you can have sherbet. That's what you can tolerate right now. So my husband went to the store and he bought sherbet, and I had an unmeasured amount that I did not even track because I felt like that's what my body could tolerate, And so I feel like I walked away from the week. I didn't track every day because I didn't, like you, I did not have the energy to. But I walked away feeling like I'm going to eat the things that my body can tolerate. At first I claimed I'm going to eat the things my body needs to heal. And then I realized that it's not really healing with sherbet. But my body can tolerate it. That's what it's craving. That's what it can hold down right now. So that's what I'll have. So I had a similar experience, that just take care of yourself. And
did you find that there were foods your body didn't want to tolerate, or you felt like I couldn't eat this?
So I had some bread because I was feeling nauseous. So I had some bread because that normally makes me feel a little bit better. But it did not want bread. My body was like, no way, back to the sherbet, please. So back to the sherbet we went.
I hate it when my body's like, you can only have fudge.
Well, I think that's what I was thinking.
Fudge is all you got, and I don't want anything else.
But I was thinking that's what stood out to me about what you were saying, Heidi, is it's not that you're going on a free-for-all. It's that your body was asking for certain things and couldn't handle other things.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't get as sick as you guys, and what a joy it was to watch all that and hear about it. But I did feel under the weather for several days and working and everything, and I think for me, it's kind of like, I think you get to the point where you feel like I deserve it, right? Like, I'm not feeling well and I'm having to still function, and I just deserve to have whatever I want. And what helped me, at least for most of it, was I feel like, that first of all, a lot of the food that I crave anyway, it's like once I eat it, it ends up not being satisfying and I actually feel sicker. And I tried to remember that. And the day that I let myself have bad food today, when our team was all bringing in food and everybody had food, and it just wasn't, I didn't feel great at the end of the day. I felt worse than I did earlier. And I realized, obviously you want to nourish yourself. And so this feeling of kind of like, I deserve it because I don't feel well. Well, in reality, the nourishing food is is what you deserve. It's what your body deserves. So I tried to talk myself through that and realize, it's at the end of the day, what my body really deserves is the best I can get. And if you're gonna have something, have the best of the thing. Don't go have the crappy, cheap stuff.
That was a very mature outlook.
Like it's true. Like I was at work. I felt like I just had opened the door to okay, well, I'm going to have what I want for this luncheon that we had. And I had all this food and I didn't feel good at all. And I thought, you know what? If I just would have had the things that were the best, that would have satisfied the cravings. Yeah. It would have tasted better. My body wouldn't hurt so bad. And I would have gotten through it, But instead I felt like, I gave myself the green light. So eat whatever you want. And that was just the worst, hour buffet thing that So that, I don't know. That's just how I felt. And I think once I got my mind back to kind of, you deserve, what you deserve is wholesome foods and good foods. I felt like that at least helped me push off some of the bad foods for a while. Mm-hmm. Your body does not feel better when you have food that's not good for you, especially if you've been eating healthfully like we've all been trying to for so long. Yeah. You're impacted more by sugar and by greasy foods than you would normally be. Mm-hmm. And when you're sick, that's the worst possible thing you can do to yourself. Yeah. So yeah, have what you got to have. And if you need to have something, I always say have the best quality bad thing you're going to have, just to get you might as well have the good thing and so that it satisfies the craving. But then, the concept that I'm going to have the whole thing of donuts or whatever, that just, it feels bad at the end and you're going to regret that you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that it's hard to be around other people that are struggling. And I guess I was feeling so impressed with you this week, Lisa, because you had so much motivation. I know you weren't perfect, blah, 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 but I just feel like you worked really hard to stay motivated and to keep that going. And it's hard when you have a team of people that are celebrating the holidays at work all the time, and then you are around other people that are sick or that might be struggling. And what helped you to maintain focus when other people were struggling with focus?
Well, it's coming up on the end of the year, and I had really wanted to hit a certain goal, which I'm not really going to hit, but I was weighing in more frequently, and that was reminding me every day about the goal. And it's interesting how as soon as I started letting myself eat worse, I stopped weighing in every day. There's a correlation there between accountability and behavior, oddly enough. But so thank you, Rebecca. No, I tried, and it helped me last longer because I was watching it every single day.
So speaking of weighing in frequently, I think this actually, and maintaining motivation, I think this nicely correlates to our next topic, which is being an online-only member. So Rebecca and I both go to meetings, and Lisa
pay
is
full price.
Yeah, we pay full price. My budget hears it. And Lisa does online only, and she's been to several meetings with us as a visiting person now and again. But for the most part, she's online only. I guess I wanted, one thing that I've noticed as we've done this podcast is we've had a lot of comments, and feedback from people who do online only, that they find benefit of the podcast because of that they don't have that weekly check-in like you do when you go to the meetings. And so it's helpful to kind of have that check-in and kind of a topic of discussion for the week. And so I thought we might talk about some other aspects of online only, what's good, what's bad, and that kind of thing. One thing that I've been really surprised at as we've done this podcast and we've read your guys' feedback and comments is how many people are doing online only and how many people have told us that they benefit from the podcast because they feel like there's that topic of discussion for the week or just something different, some new topic every week. They enjoy talking about it and hearing about it and kind of how that guides in our weight loss. And so Rebecca and I do the meetings. We go to meetings every week and pay the full maximum Weight Watchers price because there are no discounts anymore. And then Lisa, she does online only. Then she's come and visited a couple of meetings with us. But for the most part, she does online only. And I guess I wanted to talk about how, I don't know, pros, cons, to online only, what are the good things, what are the bad things, and how do you cope with maybe not having that weekly check-in like someone with a meeting does. Obviously the first pro, it's cheaper.
Sure.
Less than half the cost.
Is it really? It's that much cheaper?
I pay $45 a month.
I pay $19.99.
Okay,
Less than half the cost.
Less than half the cost. I thought it was $16.
It might have started that way, but that's not what they're taking out of my bank every month.
So it's less than half the cost. So obviously there's a huge benefit to that. But one thing that you don't get is necessarily the updates as quickly. So when we had our switch to Freestyle, there are lots of online only members who didn't get the materials. There was a lot of confusion as to what was the new plan.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily not as up to date on changes.
So, I mean, yeah, the original reason that I did online only was for the cost. The other thing, though, and I think that even if I was, like, swimming in money at the time, I probably would still be online only because I think that there are... I think, it comes down to personalities. I think that there are some people have a personality that's a little bit more kind of, like, inward or introverted. That's me. And I don't know that I need the meetings to sort of stay on. I kind of am into like the analytical, like the tools and the points, and I'm kind of into that and watching the chart go down every week, hopefully. But there are other people that have personalities and they just they want the camaraderie and they want to be around people, and I'm not as much of a people person. And so that wasn't as big of a deal to me. I also have you guys, so it might be different if I was alone. I might want that, but I didn't feel like I needed it. But then obviously the con is that sometimes there are times when it's a little bit harder, and even an introvert like me would like to be around somebody else, other people, right? If I didn't have you guys, I would probably want the meeting. So that's one thing, I guess.
When you mentioned personality type, there was a guy that was on Connect that had listened to our podcast and had commented, and he said, he's got some social anxiety, and so going to a meeting is really hard, but he does feel disconnected, and he doesn't feel like he's a part of something bigger. I feel like I'm a part of something bigger when I go to meetings. There's other people that are struggling the same way I'm struggling. And so he had said one thing he liked about our podcast was that he was reminded that he's with other people. And so I think that, again, it's what you value, it's what speaks to you that's going to motivate you. Because the end result is weight loss, but, some people being a part of something bigger might be the thing that helps motivate them. Right.
That might not motivate somebody else.
So when you're an online only member, do they send you, I know that they have the electronic versions of the paper, like the little pamphlets that we get every week. I know they have those online. Do they send those to you in email as like, here's your weekly topic?
It'd be great if I knew the answer to that. I feel like I get emails from Weight Watchers regularly, but I haven't looked enough to see if it's like the same information that they do. I don't think I'm getting all the weekly topics.
Because I've wondered that, like the weekly topics, there's always something new, just something to think about that week.
Do you guys get emails? You guys get emails from Weight Watchers?
I get emails, but I don't get the, I'll get random things. I think
we're all on the same email, though. I don't think I'm getting anything extra.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the exact same program, but you can't go to the meetings.
I've wondered if they send out the electronic version of the same pamphlet that weekly people get.
No, I've never seen that.
Because I know that they are online.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to know. I mean, another thing that I do that's differently, and this is just kind of like Lisa's version of Weight Watchers, that I sort of like about it, and maybe it's good or bad, but I sort of don't like having to weigh in on at the exact same time every week or at a meeting with other people. Like, I feel like if there's a week where I just know that whatever, like what we just talked about, I was sick, so I don't want to weigh in, and I don't want to feel bad that I didn't weigh in on a particular day. And I think not I think the online only gives you the flexibility. You still have your week that your day you're supposed to weigh in and the day that the points restart. But I can choose not to weigh in, or I just feel like I can be a lot more flexible with my weigh-in. And I'm on my own scale. I'm not using someone else's scale. So, I mean, those are just little things that I prefer.
For me, I think the thing that I like about going to the meetings as opposed to online only is that it's almost like 30 minutes a week that I'm forced to think about myself and this journey.
Yeah.
Because
Agreed.
I don't know that I would do that if I were online only. I'm not sure that I would, you'd get on the scale and I'd go about my day. I don't know that I'd sit down and reflect on my week and then think about the upcoming week and set any goals.
Yep.
But I think that might also be my personality, that I don't do that unless forced.
Well, and I'm like you in that, Heidi, and I would say that the majority of what I get out of meetings, some of it is what other people say. A lot of it's what's happening inside of my head. Like, I'll read through the flyer that they give. I'll kind of reflect on if I went up or down, what kind of helped with that. I'll look back on my foods. I'll think again, like you said, what my goal is moving forward. I always like to hear what other people say, and there's some leaders I like better than others, some meetings I like better than others, but I feel like for me, it's exactly what you said. I don't typically pause and think about my journey sometimes, and so it helps me with that.
Do you find that you set aside time to reflect on the journey, or
I feel like I'm always thinking about my journey. I'm
See, I think
about
that's
Weight Watchers.
I think that's the personality difference.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
I'm
that I do
always
it unless
planning.
forced.
I'm
and
a planner like all the time. My life is like a process improvement project, and like I'm just always thinking about like what did I do today and what can I do better and how do I make it. I mean, that's just my head goes and goes and goes
I'm
like
feeling
that.
tired just hearing you say all
So-
of that.
I know. Sounds exhausting.
Going to a meeting that wouldn't add to that.
Yeah.
I mean, at all. So, one thing I have missed when we've gone to meetings, and I'm going to tell everyone a secret in a minute about how to go to meetings as an online only person for free. Okay, but what I have enjoyed is there's an optimism about Weight Watchers. There's a support, and you get it with Connect. But it is sort of nice to go sit in a room with a bunch of other people that are struggling, where everybody is kind of like, oh, someone makes a comment and everyone else is like, and I do like that, and that is something that, you do miss out on it. I mean, Connect does have a lot of that though, and Connect is a nice replacement. The secret, especially if you live in a big metroplex, you can go to it as an online only. I'm going to get in trouble. You can go to Weight Watchers meetings. You walk in and you say, well, sometimes you just go sit down and nobody says anything. But if someone's, if there's a person there, just hey, I'm an online only person. I just want to try out a meeting. They'll totally let you in. You want to go the next week? Just find a different meeting and go to that meeting with different people.
Suddenly, we can't share this with any of our meetings.
So I mean, you can't do it every week, but I'm saying
If you want to get a feel for what it's like,
go do it.
Yeah.
Now I feel like the Weight Watchers police are going to come and be like, what are you doing?
Well, no, but I think that part of that is what you said. You've got to find what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And if you're having a really bad struggle and you're wondering, will a meeting help with me? I think that the Weight Watchers that I know and appreciate would say, yeah, come and try out a meeting and sit in it and see if it works. You don't get the benefit of every week, and there's a commitment that you make, and you make that financial commitment as well. But I feel like the Weight Watchers that I, know and love and have worked with would say, yeah, come and sit down and see if it helps. And if it does, then you'll make that financial commitment when you're able and ready,
We are not affiliated officially with Weight Watchers. But if they wanted to start paying us, we would take it.
Anyway, I'm curious what you guys think. Those of you that are online members, please feel free to comment and let us know what your perspective is. And also, this is the season of sickness. So those of you that have been struggling, what's
we're so
worked for
sorry.
you? I know.
That those of you who are getting sick
It's
or may get
miserable.
sick, we're sorry.
Very grateful for the support that we've received from family, from friends, from our new online community. Thank you guys so much for welcoming us and listening to us. It means a lot to us.
Please hit us up on our Facebook page. We love hearing the comments and your feedback, and of course on our blog at eatcrunchy.com. And we'll talk to you next week for the new year, or right before the new year.
Merry Christmas!
Bye.